Christine and Tim.
Christine, Sofran, Nitin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
All right. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Let me make sure everyone's good to go. Introduce yourself in the comments. And we are back for another live. And this is something that I'm really excited to have a conversation with again, because I get this question asked a lot. And I think that there's a certain type of fear and concern in the market about building your personal brand as an entrepreneur in the market as a speaker, right? And many times when entrepreneurs are trying to become public speakers, get booked for speaking engagements, they find it very difficult to understand the path forward because there's really no public blueprint, right? There's a lot of models out there for entrepreneurship, a lot of models out there for starting a business, scaling a business, or even, going to work, building a career. But what public blueprints and models and pathways are there for becoming a public speaker? And not just any public speaker, one with a legacy, one with a brand, and one that actually has a ROI. And when I say ROI, not only does it open up new doors for you, but it also brings financial benefits, right? Where it's lucrative, where you're getting paid to speak on global stages around the world. And so with that said, today we're going to have a conversation about entrepreneurs' paid speaker blueprint, the 5 reasons you're not getting paid to speak and how to fix them fast, okay? Where I'm going to come really hard and clear and direct about reasons why you might be struggling or find it challenging to transition from being just a speaker to one that's paid to speak with consistent credibility, consistent access, so on and so forth. So first and foremost, if this is your first time coming live with me, my name is Christine and Tim. I'm a serial entrepreneur, global speaker, and a tech activist who have built multiple different businesses and multiple global initiatives and brands around the world. I am so blessed to be in this public speaker circuit for over a decade. I have spoken at over 300 different conferences, workshops, summits, programs to date, and I have been on stages from TEDx to the UN to the European Union to Google to Facebook to LinkedIn to AT&T. If there was a stage, I've been on it, and I'm so blessed to be able to have had such a accomplished and very versatile career, to the point that now as I look back and look at some of my successes as an entrepreneur, I realize really crafting and honing my personal brand was a core strategic decision that really accelerated my growth in multiple areas, to reach new audiences, to accelerate my impact, but more importantly, to really build a legacy. And one of the fastest ways to build authority, credibility, and really accelerate your personal brand is through public speaking. However, a lot of people find it very difficult to not only get on the public speaker circuit, but make it a lucrative pathway to growth for them and their business. So we're going to talk about that today. So with that said, I want to dive into those 5 reasons. And let's just get straight to the point because we don't have time to waste. I want to make sure that we're getting tangible conversations. Comment if you have any questions, because immediately I'm going to be answering those questions as quickly as possible when we start the live. Okay. And so let's get started. So why entrepreneurs fail to get paid speaking gigs, okay? And the most obvious reasons is, one, first and foremost, is lack of positioning. And when I say lack of positioning, the problem is people think that, oh, I put myself as a public speaker on LinkedIn. It's in my titles, it's in my credibility, it's in my markers. But most entrepreneurs just frame themselves as just a speaker. And that means you're not like a coveted speaker. And you have to understand, event organizers, because there's a budget tied to a paid speaker, they're making a business decision to book you or not. If you don't have a talk that clearly solves a pain point for their audience, where it gives them an immediate ROI to have you on stage, there's no point in booking. They could invite you to speak and share your thoughts and add to the lineup, but just because you could get a standing ovation doesn't mean you were the best speaker providing an ROI. And that's something I always tell people, that you need to clearly state in one sentence your ROI, your value statement. I help X audience to do X result because of X reason, right? Because it's through that introduction of you having clarity on what your value proposition is, you could also provide clarity on your product, which is your keynote talk, your signature talk, 20 minutes or less, as to what will happen if an audience were to hear you present that signature talk. Are they going to be inspired? Are they going to be motivated? Are they going to have a framework? Are they going to have a structure? Are they going to be enlightened? Are they going to be able to go to action? Are they going to be able to go to market? Is it going to affect the sales team's closing rates? Is it going to affect more people in an entrepreneurship program launching and scaling their businesses? There are tangible results when you're able to position yourself as a thought leader in one sentence and articulate and give clarity to that, because it transcends into how you articulate the clarity and value of your signature talk. So the first reason is lack of positioning. The second thing is not actually having speaker assets. I've seen, again, a lot of people brand themselves online as public speakers. Maybe they have a website. Maybe they even have a reel or a LinkedIn presence. However, decision makers are not just looking for assets in terms of the branded assets. They're looking, ROI assets. And this is really going to hit a lot of people differently. What I mean by ROI assets, do you have a one pager, a proposal describing the value and benefit of your signature talk? This is probably the most important document you have. I've seen people create a lucrative speaker business just with that one page proposal and not have a reel, not have a website, not have a booking platform, just with that alone, because that's what every decision maker is going to ask. So they can circulate that internally to make a decision amongst decision makers within an institution. Okay. So they're looking for evidence that the audience will get an outcome, right? So testimonials, maybe a video of you live on stage showing what the experience will be to have you, right? So the two most important assets is really that video showing you to deliver that keynote talk so they can see what is the value of that in terms of in-person, and then a document articulating the takeaways from that talk. So a visual, a video, and then a documented evidence of what the ROI is, one pager speaker proposal. Okay, those are the speaker assets I'm talking about. This is the reason why I don't double down talking about, well, what's your brochure, what's your one pager, what's your reel. These two are the most important. The video of you doing a full keynote talk is way more important than the speaker reel. Okay, I know I have a speaker reel. You guys see that. That's how I kick off many of my lives. But what they ask to see is like, do you have a video link of you delivering this keynote talk? Simple. Right? Because they're able to see how you're able to engage the audience, how you're able to walk a crowd, how you're able to capture, engage attention for 20 minutes or less. All that is important. So no speaker assets. I will probably clarify and say that no ROI speaker assets. What is the return on investment of them booking you to speak? Okay. Number 3, this is a big one, pitching the wrong way. Oh my gosh. Like I've seen so many people. I give you a very clear example of that. They'll email the account of an event organizer, like, are you looking for speakers? Even that articulation is very, very bad, right? Because are you looking for speakers? Yeah, sure. You come speak for free, give us thoughts for 5 to 10 minutes and leave, right? But if you even flip that question, it's like, are you in charge of booking speakers? It changes the narrative of that question, because now booking speakers means there's a conversation like, look, this is a significant speaker coming in where there's an expectation of an investment into the speaker, because they have, again, those tangible assets I talk about, a video of their keynote speech and a proposal documenting the ROI of that signature talk, right? They have those two things. So sometimes how you email, how you pitch, how you communicate, the words that you use, and this is something that we teach in the Paid Speaker Accelerator program, the language of a public speaker, a notable public speaker, is very different than a novice public speaker who's just trying to get out there for visibility, right? And another way that you're pitching the wrong way is probably because you're just sending generic pictures or waiting for referrals so that way people can know about you, or you're just like literally just reaching out and saying like, hey, I can speak on this topic, this topic, this topic. So you sound like someone who can speak on anything. So you don't have like a tangible IP or signature talk that they can figure out the KPIs of bringing you in. Right. So a winning pitch is someone who pretty much, I'm going to go back to the signature proposal, this one-page document that will really shift the trajectory of your career. Is really around, you need to tell them what is the pitch that's going to get the audience relevant for your talk. So is your pitch mirroring the audience problems? Is it matching the theme that they're trying to bring to life? Is the organizer going to get real value of you having you on stage? Did you articulate that in pitch? And here's the biggest thing. A lot of people, when they're pitching event organizers, again, I have an organization, we run hundreds of events per year around the world. So we receive a lot of speaker pitches via email, via DMs, via social media. They pitch and talk only about themselves. Hey, I'm a notable speaker. I'm speaking at these conferences. I have all these achievements. I have all these speaker reels. They talk about themselves. They don't pitch the solution to the problem. So one thing that we do in the Paid Speaker Accelerator is like, we look at an email where someone's pitching themselves and you think you're doing a great job. You're showing, it's kind of like pitching your resume, right? You're telling people all the reasons why you're a great speaker, as opposed to looking at the organization. Let's say you're pitching MasterCard and say, hey, MasterCard, I noticed that you did an entrepreneurship program. I would love to provide a framework to increase the number of graduates you have launching and pitching effectively at demo days at your program. That's what my signature talk is about. the return on investment and the immediate need to book you with that second message versus the first one is night and day. And again, some of you don't know how to pitch with that articulation, looking at the organization that you're reaching out to and just saying 1 and 2 sentences how you could provide value. And the funny thing is that first one, sometimes people are elongated, they give like a whole paragraph about who they are, multiple links, and it doesn't work. Whereas the second one I just showed you, which is the right way to pitch, it's even easier. It's a one-liner. You're still probably giving a link to your speaker webpage, which has your proposal and information, but you're just literally looking at the person and in 1 sentence or 2 sentences or less saying like why you're the best person to come to their organization and speak as a keynote speaker. So pitching the wrong way is a huge one. And this is something that really throws people off when they see that. Okay. And the next one, which is a frustrating one that I've been through for multiple years. I'm sure many of you comment free if you have spoken on multiple events for free and have not converted it into a paid speaking gig that's 10K or above. Comment free if you've done that and you're frustrated and you want to transition out of that pit of constantly pitching for free, speaking for free, right? This is a huge one. Number 4, which is speaking for free without a strategy, just hoping that someone will refer you, just hoping that, if you do a couple of standard ovations, signature talks, people will be happy with you. It's not enough. Free gigs can open doors, right? But it doesn't mean that it's going to lead to paid speaking opportunities. Okay. Let me make that very clear. Free speaking engagements can open doors, right? Maybe expose you to a client, maybe expose you to a different ecosystem, maybe gives you awareness about another opportunity, but it doesn't guarantee paid gigs. So if you are speaking on multiple different topics for free, planners just can't place you, right? So if you 1 week you're speaking on entrepreneurship, another week you're speaking on motivation, another week you're speaking on farming, another week you're speaking on agriculture, another week you're speaking on fashion, event planners literally cannot place you. They don't know where to put you strategically. But when you have a clear niche and value proposition as to who you target, what your outcomes are, you're unforgettable. And that's how they will pitch you and book you to speak at their event. So I always tell people, please be very mindful of not just thinking that your strategy is I'm going to speak at 100 different events and someone's going to book me because of that, right? You need to go beyond that. You need to rethink about, okay, how do I look at some of these engagements and pitch myself in a way that positions me as not only just a notable speaker, but a necessary speaker for the event lineup, okay? And last but not least is an unclear revenue path. I say this to all my clients who come and work with me in the Paid Speaker Accelerator, or the first step to work with me tangibly to get some immediate results, which is the Public Speaker Booking Workshop, is that you need to understand if your goal is to get paid to speak on a consistent basis. Let me repeat that again. If your goal, comment goal if this is your goal. If your goal is to get paid to speak on a regular basis, you by default have made a business decision. You are launching a speaker business. I know some of you, it's hard to wrap your mind around this, but this is not just like, oh, this is just another revenue stream, another way to put yourself out there. No, you are making a business decision. Okay. And so what that means is that you need to have a product. Some of you don't have a product. You're just speaking willingly. If you had a business, would you just offer random products to the public for free? No, you would not. You would go bankrupt before you even start. You have a tangible product and you promote that product. The product in a speaker business is not you. You're the package. And a lot of people think that their bravado and their energy and their background is the product. No, that's the packaging. The product is your signature talk, 20 minutes or less, which is and what is a signature talk? It's like a breakthrough statements that really gives people a framework, a narrative, a structure to solve a problem, right? Based on your experiences, based on your expertise. That is a signature talk by definition, okay? And so with that said, you would have a product, okay? And because you have a product, you have to pitch that product. So you will pitch that product by talking about it, doing thought leadership, putting yourself out there, so on and so forth. So when I talk about having an unclear revenue path, it's because you have not started with having a product to actually build a revenue path, right? And making a decision that you are making a business decision, right? So one thing that I tell people, that signature talk leads to multiple different revenue avenues where you could turn it into a workshop, you could turn it into a book, you could turn it into a coaching program, right? And so conferences are looking for really good speakers several months in advance. And so if you're pitching, let's say today, probably your next gig will close in mid-November or mid-October, depending on how many pitches you're putting out there, right? And a lot of times you need a pipeline so that way you, and this is something that we teach in the Paid Speaker Accelerator, we teach you how to create a rotational pipeline. So as you're closing one engagement, another one's coming to close the next day, the next week. So that way you're constantly creating a loop cycle. It's not that hard. It's really just making sure that you repeat, rinse and repeat. But the point is, it's like, you need to have a clear revenue path about how you're going to promote and articulate your signature talk to the public. And like I said, a lot of people can't even get in the game because they don't have a signature talk to begin with. Okay. So very, very important that we articulate that so you understand where we're coming from. Okay. So with that said, now that you understand the issues, right, what do you do? Right. And I know I gave some solutions for each one of these problems, but what is your game plan now? We're here. We're seeing that these are mistakes. We're seeing that these issues, how do we fix them immediately? Okay. I want to introduce you to, first and foremost, my method of getting paid speaking engagement, something that has completely changed my trajectory with my career. To give you a bit of background, I've shared this to the public many times before, but the beginning of my speaker career did not start off as glamorous, right? I was one of the few who was speaking at multiple events for free, getting frustrated, getting burnt out, literally being in a room where I was the best speaker, tangibly, emotionally, spiritually, content-wise, framework-wise, than even the headliner, right? But because I didn't have our structured approach with getting gigs, I was constantly being overbooked, underpaid, not even paid, and burned out, right? And some of you, I mean, comment if you can relate to this, where you're putting a lot of goodwill into the ecosystem, where you're doing all the talks, you're putting yourself out there, but now you become a de facto person just to have as a, just, you know, a photo and a face on an event lineup, but not someone who is tangibly respected to give thought leadership to change the paradigm, perspective of an audience at an event or at an institution or at a program. And it really, really burned me a lot. And then it wasn't until I shared this before that, you know, I started having multiple conversations in green rooms, honest conversation with headliners, people who clearly had a speaker business and was doing well. And I told them straight out, like, look, this, I became vulnerable. I said, like, this is my issue. I know I'm a great speaker. I get all the compliments in the world. I'm doing a lot of free gigs, but it's not giving me an ROI. And now I'm burnt out. Now I don't see how to tangibly convert this into a paid lucrative opportunity. What should I do? And you know, over a course of a couple months, a couple years, I started teasing the feedback and advice from different speakers, because a lot of speakers also, they don't want to give you the blueprint because they see you as a competitor, which is unfortunate. But I had to piece together these things and run different experiments, which is why I'm laying the blueprint out for entrepreneurs who are coming behind me, because I don't want you to have to figure this out on your own. And a lot of people who don't know how to close paid gigs, it takes several years for them to figure this out. For me, it took at least a good 2-3 years before I finally recognized, oh, there's actually a pathway and a solution to be able to know how to find the right engagements, get booked, get paid, and scale from there. And this is that blueprint. After several years of being in the market and struggling to figure this out, this is that blueprint. And this 5-step plan will completely change not only your approach, but your success rate with getting paid speaking engagement. And the first step is really having a product. This is something I stressed many times before. Do you have a signature talk that has a breakthrough statement that you could be known for? When I say known for, I don't mean you need 1 million followers or Instagram. You need to be well known and well positioned on media outlets around the world. I mean, I've seen people who are kind of like a hidden gem and are still getting paid engagement. So it's not about high visibility around the world. It's about, can someone talk to you and you have a breakthrough signature talk statement that's really going to get them like, hey, we need that conversation at our organization. So first step, have that. So what does this solve for me? One, I went on speaking on probably 15 different topics, and I mean, I was speaking on multiple different topics because anything that gave me visibility to get on stage, I took as an opportunity. So I went from speaking on multiple different topics to really narrowing down my focus onto entrepreneurship. And my signature talk became, I'll give you my example, is Entrepreneurship Without Borders. You know, how to scale from zero to the world from ground zero, right? So that was my signature talk. That's what got me in. And to this day, it's still about 75 to 80% of my revenue streams in my speaker business. So I just show you, even 10 years later, it's still the bulk of my booking business, this one signature talk. So again, Went from speaking on 15 topics to now one topic because I had now a product for the market, my signature talk. The second thing is, this is a big one, publishing. Now, when I say publish, is really putting out there your thought leadership. It doesn't have to be social media where every day you're talking about your talk. I'm not someone who believes in social media burnout. What I mean is about, if people Google you, can they find you in association with that thought leadership? So what I did is, like, and we teach this in the Paid Speaker Accelerator, how to print it on your website, how to publish it, on social media, how to really, when someone Google you, it's called the Google test, does it come up? If you Google my name, Christine Tim, and Entrepreneurship Without Borders, you will see a lot of content around that, right? This is the reason why a lot of speakers, they usually publish a book, because that's automatic thought leadership credibility. It's a really powerful mechanism to really say that you're a thought leader because you have a book. But other ways to do that is really just publishing online, and we teach this in the Paid Speaker Accelerator. So publish that signature talk, that product, so people associate you with that, that content and information. The third thing is what we call positioning. This is where you build brand visibility on LinkedIn and social media, and where you actually articulate, this is my brand. And this goes beyond putting public speaker as a title on your page. Is, do you have it as an experience position on your LinkedIn page with videos and photos and assets of you speaking on stages on that signature talk? Do you have a proposal attached on that, when I do LinkedIn audits, I'm looking for that. Is your proposal there so the person can download and make a decision, a business decision to book you? That's the positioning. Now, here's where the tipping point happens, where people start to monetize and start making money. These three things are foundational. Have a product, publish it, and position yourself as a speaker and thought leader by giving clarity and consistency around that brand, that product, that signature talk message, right? The tipping point, okay, for many of you, which is why you're facing all these challenges, is that you don't have a proposal. Comment proposal if you don't have one, okay? It's a one-pager giving an ROI. And this is why in the public speaker and booking workshop, I tell people this is the first step to working with me tangibly, is let's get you to create your proposal. Because by creating that proposal, you are now off to the races. Because I say proposal leads to contracts. That's what positions you. That's you actually saying, like, look, I'm putting my stake in the ground. This signature message, this is the ROI provides. This is the benefits. This is the takeaways. This is the tangible audiences that it's good for. This is you putting a stake in the ground saying, this is why this talk is relevant. Okay. This is where you put it out there so people can say, yeah, this girl knows what she's talking about. This guy knows what he's talking about. I want to work with her. On one pager. This is the tipping point, the chasm that a lot of people are trying to cross when it comes to getting the paid speaker circuit, that they don't know, because some of them don't know how to word a proposal. They don't know how to structure a proposal. This is what we work on in the workshop, the public speaker booking workshop, to get you over this first hurdle. Try to get you to craft that proposal. And I'll put a link in the comments for you to be able to access that, because it's really an important first step to overcome, to be able to get into the market. It's something that's really hard for a lot of novices to get past. Okay. So that's the first thing. Okay. So that's the tipping point. And once you do that, remember I said, okay, if you could do it once, you could do it again and again and again and again. And now you have your speaker business where you're getting booked on a regular basis, right? So this is where it comes in, where we're going to create a pipeline. This is where I show people, and part of the public speaker booking workshop is like we help you find your first 100 clients to pitch and engage with your proposal. They kind of go hand in hand. Is that you don't want to have a feast or famine cycle with your speaker business, where you try to close a speaking engagement and you have an engagement for several weeks, several months at a time. You don't want that to happen. You want to be able to literally have a pipeline of opportunities coming on a regular basis. Okay. So with that said, that's how you do that. So we create a pipeline database. We have a rinse and repeat system where it's very, very easy to put yourself out there and have rotational dialogues with different institutional clients, which is why it becomes a 4 or 5 figure deal or higher. So 5K, 10K, 20K and above, because you're talking to institutional clients on that rotation cycle. And that is the 5-step process. If you do this consistently, and really speaking, in the Paid Speaker Accelerator, where we focus on helping you build that foundational piece, which is the product, publish, and positioning piece, that's something that's timeless unless you change your signature talk 5 years from now, 10 years from now. That is the foundational piece that keeps you in the game, that gets you to enter the door. And the monetization piece comes in with the proposal and pipeline. That's the part of the business that's constantly on rotation and that you're constantly working with throughout your career as a public speaker. Everything else is just like, once you have it, you set it and forget it. You're good. Like, you have the talk, you have information, you positioned it. Really, what really gets you out there is that proposal and pipeline interchange that you're doing with your brand. Okay. So with that said, that presents a really great opportunity, because now, once you get this 5 steps out, you recognize that, oh, okay, now I could be able to stop speaking for free, because now I have a tangible ROI. You don't have to like target multiple different event organizers, because now you realize like, okay, this talk wouldn't fit this industry, wouldn't fit this program. So now you're going to target certain industries, certain clients. And also you stop chasing events, right? But start to look for clients, because now that you realize this is a business decision, this is a speaker business that you're building, you're now starting to realize that you need to find institutional clients. So you start reaching out to like banks. Maybe you reach out to the tech companies. Maybe you reach out to, let's say you're in education, and it depends on your industry. So if I'm in the industry of entrepreneurship and tech, I'm reaching out to all the entrepreneurship programs and initiatives that, corporate institutions are doing. If I'm in the healthcare sector, I'm looking for healthcare, businesses that are looking for my thought leadership to come in. If I'm in the education sector, so on and so forth. You get the gist. And this is something that we do in the public speaker workshop, is show you how to hone and position, okay, that signature talk for the right industry, so you could create your first 100 clients to go reach out to with that proposal. It's very important. Again, clarity is the name of the game. I find that so many people stay scatterbrained, expecting different results, but they don't have that tangible focus to say, okay, this is my signature talk and this is where I'm going to go. Okay. So let's recap a bit, because for the past half hour, we covered a lot, right? We covered the, 5 reasons why you don't get paid to speak and how to fix them through this solution. So we talked about how to, the reasons why you're not getting booked, right? The lack of position, no speaker, correct speaker assets, pitching the wrong way, speaking for free without a strategy, and unclear revenue path. And this is a solution that we talked about, how to break from that barrier and really accelerate your speaker career in a way that's lucrative, eventful, opportunistic, in a way that really drives results and opportunity for you and your business, but also you could drive impact on a global scale. Now, where do we go from here? Okay. Where we go from here is you taking a step back and really get into planning mode and execution mode. Okay. So for some of you, maybe you have a talk, you're ready to go, but you're trying to find your first set of clients, right? Here's where I want to invite you to work with me in a more deeper capacity. I do this several times a year, which is the public speaker booking workshop. To work with me, it creates a multi-$1,000 investment, i.e. the paid speaker accelerator program. But I always tell people, sometimes the best first step is to work with me for a workshop for 2 days. So that way we could tangibly get you from the stuck challenges that you're in right now and get you in the driver's seat to move forward. Because one of the biggest things that really frustrates people is like, they probably tried a lot of different things, but they didn't really try to actually put things pen to paper and execute and reach out. Right now, here's the thing about the public speaker booking workshop. What I love about this initiative, right? And I could put the link in the comments for you guys to be able to access that and be able to book and save your seat, because it is an intimate experience where I work with you over the course of 2 days, 1 hour each. Day one is really all about making sure we articulate what is your signature talk and how do we craft the proposal. So we are literally working on Google Docs and we're crafting out your proposal based on your signature talk. You get the blueprint, but we also execute on it, right? Some of you might think, well, I'm not ready for this. You're never going to be ready for something like this. It's up to me to coach you through, to sit you down and say, okay, let's look at your past. Let's look at the thought leadership that you have, and let's craft it into a proposal. So this is something, if you make a decision today that you want to move forward and getting this done, this is where I come in to coach you through putting that thought leadership and the ROI of that thought leadership on paper. So that's day one. Day two is, okay, now you have a proposal, but who do you give it to? Who do you speak to, right? And this is where a lot of people struggle with this, is that, okay, I got my proposal. I know I got the document. I got the goods that's going to lead to contracts. how do I pitch this to the right people? Who are the people that I should reach out to? That's when we bring it in your LinkedIn pages. This is why we do live LinkedIn audits for each participant on the program. And the LinkedIn audit is not an extensive one. In the Paid Speaker Accelerator program, we have an extensive LinkedIn audit. But this one is really a 5-minute LinkedIn audit, which is why we have limited seat capacity for this workshop, but a 5-minute audit where I identify the areas that you need to optimize right now to position your proposal. And then we get right into, okay, what's your industry that you're trying to target? So somebody wants to make you, like, I'm in the film industry. We're going to now look for the tangible decision makers at certain institutions that will pay to have you speak. Right. Some of you might say, well, I'm in the healthcare space. Well, we'll look at, okay, should you be reaching out to the health and wellness teams at different organizations? Should you be at the HR team? Should you be reaching out to the medical team, the employee engagement team, right? We look at the different departments that will tangibly be the right places to look at. And then we drill down from the department side. Then we go down and say, okay, well, who are the titles that will be the best fit for booking you at this department? And we look at, that. And then we look at, okay, now we have, let's say, 2,000 different people to choose from on LinkedIn. Which ones are most engaged and more likely to see you and engage with you on LinkedIn? Now you got half of them, because not everyone's really highly engaged on LinkedIn. So now we have 1,000 people to choose from. And they say, out of the 1,000, which ones do we immediately want to reach out to get an immediate ROI, to get some tangible results? So you might say, okay, let me reach out to all the ones in New York, because I'm based in New York. I can not only reach out to them, but I could probably go see them in person, close a gig, all of the above. So that's your first 100. And that's how we drill down on day 2 to be able to provide tangible outcomes, where day 1 is all about taking your talk and creating a proposal and an ROI. And day 2 is about, okay, let's go to market and start reaching out to these institutions to position this talk. Okay. And we give you the email template to start sending those emails out, but also how to add them on LinkedIn. And so that way, as soon as they engage you as a friend on LinkedIn, they're seeing your content, they're seeing your profile, and they're seeing your thought leadership, because we'll give you the points to optimize your LinkedIn profile. And that's it. So that 2 hours across the 2 days provides such a crazy ROI and such a crazy benefit for your brand that you're able to immediately see results and start getting out there as quickly as possible. So it's always very important to see the benefit of, like, I see people come in, they had no proposal, no way of articulating the ROI of their thought leadership. And now they walk away from day 1 with that thought leadership piece on paper. And they're like, yes, I have that. And then, like, okay, now I'm ready to go. I'm energized. I'm fired up. And sometimes we even take time, if we have time during the call, where we probably spend 10 minutes where we watch each other send it out, so that we have accountability to each other, where I always say, once you do it once, you can rinse and repeat. So for people who feel like, look, I'm going to sit on this and I'm not going to be ready to put it out there, they'll send the first email, they'll send the first DM right there with us on a call. And many times they get, our immediate response, because again, you're targeting the right people who want your thought leadership, want your content, and are positioned to have a conversation with you, because they have a budget every year for that thought leadership. So it's really, really important that you understand that there's some immediate ROI benefits to you joining the workshop. And so with that said, I want to take some time now to give people not only time to be able to book the workshop if you're having questions, but to put some questions on the chat feed and start answering. So I'm going to play some music so you guys could, those of you who want to book and join the workshop and have questions, you could do that. And I'm going to scan the comments for questions, and I'm going to dive right into answering as many questions as possible. I know we live in multiple places right now, so I'm going to be looking at LinkedIn, YouTube, socials across the board to answer those questions. So we're going to give you a couple minutes on the clock to book and join, because again, this is the most tangible way to get started immediately. And then let me look for questions in the comments. Okay. Questions in the comments. Yes, it is live. It's live on Monday and Tuesday coming up. So September 29th to 30th. Good question. Let me put that on chat. I'm going to ask when it's live. And same time like this, 11 to 12. So right before lunchtime. I'll type it in. Just ask that question. So thank you for that question. And when you click on the link, it will show you the options. We also have a full condensed option on this Saturday. So all you have to do is when you book, just email the team and tell them that you want to do it on Saturday. Let me actually take that. One of the first questions that people ask is like, yes, you can access the workshop on demand if you don't have time to do it live. But please, I highly suggest that you join in live. You get to interact with me. I get to coach and hot seat coach you, look at your specific situation and really go to work on it. But the live options, there's one live option this Saturday. It's a condensed version, and one live option Monday and Tuesday. So really good question on that. And I'll send it on the comments. So let me see the next question. This is a great question. So should you not speak for free at all? So no. So one thing that I still speak for free, but I have a quota. And I have a requirement for that. So I actually don't speak at more than like 5 to 6 events a year. And usually it fits a criteria. Maybe it's, a community that I love, a community that I support. Maybe it's in my home turf. Maybe it's a great opportunity. And I feel like it's worth it, like a TED talk, right? And so you still should, I think, speak for free. I think you should still have in your arsenal to use your thought leadership for good and give back to communities that probably wouldn't be able to afford paying you 5, 10, 20, 30 grand to come speak on stage, right? So that I'm not saying you don't speak for free. What we're saying is that you can't continuously speak for free and think that that's going to be sustainable. You're going to get burned out. You're going to get pissed off. And also you cheapen your brand in the market, because remember, public speaking is accelerated credibility marker for personal branding, right? It's all about how do you bring yourself in the market and position yourself for opportunity. And so if you are constantly cheapening yourself by giving mediocre content as a public speaker, just speaking out there for free, you don't give your I don't feel like you give your best self, right? And second, the market starts to see you in a certain way, especially if you're doing these speaking engagements in your ecosystem, in your home turf, which is what a lot of people do. If you're based in New York, you've done all the events in the circuit for free. So not everyone kind of knows that you're the free person that they could book, and the reputation kind of extend itself, right? And so what I'm saying is like you should, and this is something that we go over in the program, where you have to have a tangible strategy, okay, for putting yourself out there, where yes, you can give that thought leadership for free, strategically, okay, because I do believe in putting yourself out there with no compensation intended. But for the rest of the time, just like an entrepreneur, put your entrepreneur hat on, you have to have a tangible ROI and some financial investment into your thought leadership, because you're creating ROI for others. So people should put the ROI investment back in you as well. It's a two-way win-win situation. So great question on that. Someone asked, should you not speak for free? And that's my response to that. Someone asked a question regarding the product, like how does someone get the product out there? So let me articulate again, okay? So the product will always be your thought leadership and your signature talk in 20 minutes or less, right? And for some of you, it might be, how to build a company in a certain way. It might be like, something that, and someone said like, there was a second question that I could probably answer both of them. Is your story the product or the talk? No, your story is what connects you to your audience, but there still has to be a framework or solution that you provide. I see too many people, that era of just coming to speak on stage and just sharing your story and think that that's going to get you booked for engagements is no longer the case anymore. There has to be a tangible ROI to your thought leadership. And your story, again, helps you to resonate and connect and bridge the gap between you being on stage as a thought leader that's untouchable, but connecting back to the human connection. Because people don't move and take action by listening to people that they feel disconnected to. People move and take action when they feel like they're connected to you, no matter how accomplished or cool you look on stage. If you could bridge that gap where you make a connection through your story, whatever you say as a framework, they will take it and apply it, because now you have moved them to say like, yo, if I could see it in you, I could see it in me. Thank you for inspiring me to see myself up there through your story. Sometimes you're giving your story and the person hears their story instead. They don't hear your story, they're hearing themselves. So many times I've shared my struggles as, a mother in tech, right? I have multiple kids, and like, building and scaling a global business is not easy as a mother in tech, and the disrespect that I faced. And as I was sharing my story on stage, I saw women who were in the same position as me crying, right? Because they felt like, yo, this is literally what I've been through, right? So I just want to make that very clear. The product is not so much just your story. It's really, there is a framework or solution that you're providing for the market, your breakthrough statement in that stage you're talking, and your story just adds the connection mechanism, which is why, don't stop there. You still have to provide. When you are forced to create a proposal and an ROI for that product, you start to look at tangibly like, why am I giving this talk? It forces you to ask the questions, which is why the first step for you and for the market is that you giving both yourself and the market clarity as to why this talk is needed in the universe. Very, very important distinction. So really great question. Thank you for that. Any questions, keep bringing them in the comments. I'm seeing them through the DMs and everything. I'm answering them as I see them. Someone asks, is the workshop going to be offered again? I don't know. So I do this. This is the second time I'm doing the workshop live. Again, many of you guys know I'm not a full-time coach. I do this part-time. I have several businesses. Many of you, if you Google me, see I am a serial entrepreneur building and scaling multiple businesses. But I have fun coaching part-time. I have fun building out, a blueprint for others. And so to answer that question, part-time, I have 2 signature programs that I do once a year, every single year. Okay. And then these workshops, I usually do them like once a quarter, right? And so this might be my last one. So, and keep in mind, the reason why this is a good time to do this, because we still have 3 months left. Where remember I told you sometimes, and this is really important that you understand that for institutional clients, they have minimum a 30-day closing cycle, right? Mid case scenario 60 days. Worst case scenario 90 days, right? And so you could still get that last windfall of speaking engagements, paid opportunities this last quarter of the year, if you do this workshop and get yourself positioned immediately for this. This is the reason why doing this between September and right now into October, it's a great time to still get some last minute wins in the year of 2025, if that is your goal. So really great question on that in terms of like the timing of jumping onto this workshop and being able to do that. Any other questions on workshops, I'm taking them in. Any other workshop on what we discussed today, please put them in. We only have a couple minutes left, so we'd love to answer those questions. Someone asked to explain the price point. Yes, there is an investment of a $97, but I've said this before in previous lives. That $97 is not at all reflective of the value that you're going to get. There are other people in the market who charge thousands for what I'm going to show you in that workshop. I'm willing to put it at a price point to make it more accessible to us, because I want to make sure that you have an entry into my ecosystem where you're getting immediate clarity, okay, immediate understanding and immediate execution working with me before you invest thousands into working with me over the course of multiple weeks. My signature programs are usually 4 to 5 weeks. So for example, the last cohort for the paid speaker accelerator program starts in mid-October and it runs 4 weeks. So mid-October to mid-November. And that's the last session for the year. Okay. That is a multiple $1,000 investment to work with me for 4 to 5 weeks. However, this investment, this is something that many of you guys spend on groceries. You spend on 2 or 3 people going to the, going to a fast food restaurant. The investment and the ROI you get from doing this is a no-brainer, which is why I put it at a price point where if you're not willing to do this, you're not ready at all, right? Because you're going to make even the investment into my multi-week program, just like that, just with one speaking engagement gig anyway, okay? So I want to bring clarity because someone asked about the price point. It's like really low, but there's so much immediate benefits. You are correct, because I know that I have nothing to lose to make sure that I give people a low barrier to entry before they work with me at a higher premium, okay? And again, I love the immediate results and the immediate things that you get from that. I've had clients who are really shocked. I mean, some of you are very shocked at the awareness and frameworks that I provided during this session. A lot of you were not aware of some of these challenges and some of the solutions to them, right? So if you gain clarity and direction and strategy just from this live, a workshop where I'm listening to you tell me your specific situation, having conversations about your specific talk, this out there will add 10 times of value to you in a 2-day workshop with an hour commitment each, right? Which is pretty much a lunch session with me, right? And so I say that to say that the barrier to entry is low on purpose, so that way you don't have excuses to give yourself. Okay? Thank you for that question. Let's keep them coming. Grab water. Oh. I'm still reading for questions as I see them coming, so keep your questions coming, guys. Oh, this is a good one. So this person asks, is it hard to get into paid gigs in certain industries? No, it doesn't matter, because every company, every institution, especially if you're looking for institutional clients, as I teach in my programs, to book you to speak, they all have the same departments. They all have the same, I would say the top 5 departments that are usually looking for speakers: HR, employee engagement, sales and marketing, employee wellness, right? These are tangible workforce development and training, right? Learning and development. These are all similar departments, and they all have the same ROI. Can we do something to make sure that our audience, whether it's internal, like employees and stakeholders, or whether it's external, our customers or community, can we create a good ROI experience for those clients or those stakeholders? And if your talk is able to do that, they're going to book you and pay you to speak. So it's not about the industry. It's really targeting the right decision maker at these institutions to book you and pay you to speak. And that's what we show you how to do. And the thing is, I always tell people, once you learn how to do it once, it's just rinse and repeat from there. You just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. So really great question on that. It doesn't matter what the industry is. It's all about how you're able to articulate the message to the right department. Like I said, this signature departments that are just known for this, that they all have a budget. And they all have to spend that budget by the end of the year, or else they get a reduction of the budget. And that's not a way forward, okay? And they pay premium because there is an ROI to you coming in. So hopefully that helps with that question. Great question. Got another question here. Guys, keep the questions coming. Don't be shy. This is good. This one is how does it affect people who are outside the U.S.? Is it something that will work for people who are outside of the U.S. markets or want to target clients or speaking engagements outside of the U.S.? So you benefit from the fact that I'm an international speaker and I get international engagements all the time. I'm actually a speaker for the U.S. State Department, so I travel and tour even just with the U.S. State Department as a speaker on their roster. And I will tell you, this approach still applies, because even internationally, they have similar departments and similar budget schemes to close at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year. However, I will say this. A lot of people always just target events outside of the U.S. and again don't target institutions. I still believe the U.S. market is the most lucrative market to try to close speaking engagements with. I think it's the best bet for a lot of you to target and try to focus on. I think that's my piece on that. If I am going to go abroad, it's either a U.S.-based organization taking me abroad because they have an international program, like the State Department or Google, who's doing a program launch in Kenya or Ghana. Or I did a campaign with Masterclass that was supposed to be in some place in Europe, right? Or YMCA took me to Europe. Like, these are things where it's still a U.S.-based organization taking me abroad. When it's an external-based institution, i.e., let's say the organization based in London, they have no ties to the U.S. and you're looking to get paid to speak, rarely do I see that they have a budget specifically if it's an event. What I see that happens is that similar, if it's an institution, they're going to have the same budget to pay to speak, or they have an event where it's a line item and they have to pay speakers. Again, you're better off focusing on the U.S. market. And even if you're not based in the U.S., you can still target U.S.-based institutions to pay you to speak as well, right? Obviously, there's a tax tax ROI mechanism that you have to figure out after. This is something that we cover in the accelerator program, like how to incorporate your speaker business and how to manage your flow. Because, and the reason why I say this before you guys get scared, once you start getting booked 10K and above for speaking engagement deals, you're going to want to incorporate this so that those dollars are not passing through your personal account. They're passing through a business account, because now you're off to the big races, right? And this is where I'm at right now with my brand, is so worth it. And so with that said, this applies anyway, but I would suggest that you target the US market just because it's the fastest and more lucrative, and they usually have more structured approaches to this. That's just my 2 cents. So really great question. Sorry, guys. Like, New York City could be hot sometimes. I mean, it's like September going to October. It's supposed to be fall. I took a walk outside and it's hot, so I'm feeling really dehydrated. So that's why I'm like just guzzling water. Okay. But anyway, side tangent to my New Yorkerness right now. The last thing I will say, I see another question again, a repeated question around, the proposal. Listen, I'll end here before I let you guys go. The most important thing you could do right now is to stop being busy doing surface level nonsense and take just 1 hour, even 1 or 2 hours, work with me next week or just by yourself to sit down and bring clarity to your goals and execute. Because a lot of you have spent months, years trying to figure this out by experimenting the same way, hoping different results, or asking questions to people who are in your position who are not giving you truthful answers, right? Stop spending years trying to figure this out and start executing in days, okay? And start seeing results and seeing a conversion in your life as you start to book gigs. Because I'm telling you, once you're able to start closing these opportunities, it not only changes how you show up, because now you are known for thought leadership and you want to double down and be a master of your craft and keep adding value to that thought leadership. Now you've created a legacy for your brand that expands and open doors in so many different arenas. So I'll end here and say, like, look, the 5 mistakes that you are experiencing, it's normal. I want you to understand that, and you're not at fault. This happens for a lot of novice speakers who come into the circuit. It is normal. What's not normal is now you know better, right? This workshop session, masterclass, was able to expose you to what is happening and why it's happening. So now you know better. You need to do better and execute and start to actually work forward and actually get a new result, a new 2025 high here of executing and getting some results. So with that said, this is my invitation to you to take a first step, to not only work with me to help you help yourself to get on the speaker circuit properly and strategically, but more importantly, bring the utmost clarity to your next step. Okay. Now, for those of you who feel like, hey, I need more than the workshop, I want to work with you on tangibly through your last cohort, comment paid, and I will give you access as an invite only cohort this year. I will give you access to our paid speaker accelerator program, okay, where you'll work with me from mid-October to mid-November, last quarter of the year, where I'll work with you for 4 to 5 weeks to help you walk through the entire 5-step process where we pitch and work with you on your signature talk. We go through every step of them where I hold you through that process, okay? But if you just need that first step, that first drop, that first win, the public speaker Brooklyn workshop is for you. The links is in the comments. I welcome you guys to join me next week, Monday and Tuesday, to do that. Saturday, for those of you who want a condensed version, and really make some tangible, results for yourself and get inspired again. Because some of you have been really stirring your wheels in and out on this. This is an opportunity for you to take the next step that can really accelerate so much growth and development and opportunity, both in your business and in your personal brand. So I wish you the very best of luck. It's always a pleasure having these masterclass sessions, because I get to see the effect of this clarity and the conversations I'm having with you guys, and how it's been so helpful to you guys. So thank you so much for the love, the comments. I love the emails that you guys send the team about how helpful a masterclass session was. I want to continue to provide that value. I want to go in depth and work with you in a stronger capacity through this workshop. So let's get started. And without further ado, till next time, I can't wait to see you on a stage near you. Christine and Tim, over and out. Thank you so much, guys.
Christine and Tim.
Christine, Safran, Nitin.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
But this world, as big as it is, one person can be the tipping scale to really create a domino effect that no one ever seen coming. I would like to remind people there's going to be a lot of people